that was done by Joy Online. And there was a report from the Consultative Committee to Combat Drug Menace in Schools, and they established that about 54.1% boys in the junior high school and the senior high school are resorting to drugs. We want to know the possible reasons that these young boys, or why these young boys are resorting to the use of drugs.
Okay. So I would say that drug abuse itself is also a very broad topic. In that, when you say drug abuse, people tend to think about just illegal drugs, which is not supposed to be the case. Once you take a drug without a medical prescription, it's a drug abuse. Well, the WHO chooses to say substance misuse because they say drug abuse, sort of is a little bit stigmatizing. So they tend to say substance misuse disorder. So once you are taking any drug, even if it's paracetamol, without a doctor's prescription, you are abusing the drug because you are not supposed to take it. What's the indication for taking the drug you are taking?
My head is aching.
Your head is aching. The headache you are having, sometimes, our bodies operate in a way that if something is going on wrong in the body, then the body will send a signal to a part of the body. So it may be headache, but then the issue may not just, you may not just have to get rid of the pain.
Yes.
There may be something, else underlying that you have to treat. But once you take the paracetamol, the pain is gone. You forget that, okay, maybe something could actually be happening inside my brain that I have to pay attention to. And then later you keep taking paracetamol. By the time you realize that you actually have to go and get your brain checked,
Yes.
it would have been very late. That's the unfortunate part. So we don't actually have to take drugs if a doctor has not prescribed the drugs for us. Now, for these young people in senior high schools, if you ask me why most of them are abusing drugs, I would say some of them is because of first, lack of parental guidance. Because most of the habits that we have, most of us pick them up from home. So some children in their homes actually are exposed to drugs. Someone may have a parent using drugs, and then they may think that, okay, that's the right thing to do. After all, my dad or my mom is doing the same thing, so why don't I do the same thing? Some of these kids too may actually have been abused at a point in their lives, and so they actually take the drugs to make them forget about whatever pain or trauma that they have experienced in their lives. And some of these kids too, it's actually peer influence. You go to school, you see a friend taking, some people when they are going for preps, they want to stay awake. Some of them will take a lot of caffeine just to be able to, they think that that's going to help them stay awake for a very long time and then steady. So they've seen their friends taking caffeine and they're able to stay longer and steady, so they decide to take it. Somebody to see a friend smoking a cigarette, and at this particular point in your life, you are transitioning. And so you are very curious about a lot of things. And so when you see your friend doing something, and you've not had any older person, maybe a parent, a teacher, a guardian, or somebody telling you that, oh, this is wrong, and you shouldn't do that. Once you see your friends doing it, you assume that it is the right thing to do, and then you end up doing the same thing. And in our society now, we have social media having a lot of influence on we the youth. So some of the youth too, actually, it's from social media. Somebody goes online, sees somebody taking a lot of alcohol, some people will intentionally get drunk and feel like it's the coolest thing to do.
Yeah.
And so you go to social media, you see it, and you decide that, okay, this person is acting so cool, why don't I also do the same thing? So social media also plays a very important role in these things. And then the last thing I'll talk about is that, in our schools as well, sometimes provision is not made for illnesses. Some schools may not have the appropriate, health facilities to take care of people when they are ill. So some students, when they are going to school, would take, some drugs. Most girls will carry painkillers, when they have cramps and all that. Some people will intentionally take some drugs that they can take because maybe they don't have a school nurse that they may report you, they are sick and all that. So if, these systems are actually addressed very well, we could actually have, a decrease or even, a very low number of people or youth or young boys and girls actually being exposed to drugs as we have it now.
Okay, so when talking about the use of drugs, don't you think sometimes it's probably the state of the person's mental health?
Well, that is also a possibility. When people have mental illnesses, somebody may be very sad, somebody may be very stressed, and the person may feel like, okay, once I'm sad, if I take cannabis, it's going to make me excited and give me pleasure and all that. So some people's mental health could actually influence, them taking drugs or, So it's actually important that at a point in time, parents or guardians and even we as individuals try to go to a mental health facility. Sometimes there are questionnaires that you can fill, simple questionnaires, and to tell you your mental health status, and you know that okay, I'm good mentally, I'm fine. So if you are able to do that, then as an individual, you may not be prone to abusing drugs or taking substances that you're not supposed to be taking. Some people too, if they are stressed, the person is already stressed, they'll be like, oh, I want to just fall asleep. So the person may go and take a depressant that they are not supposed to take because they just want to fall asleep. And then some people may actually end up dying after taking those drugs. Because if the drug is supposed to depress your CNS or your central nervous system, you may never recover, and you may end up, dying. So mental health, like you're saying, actually influences some people's, choice to abuse drugs.
In the article, 54.1% is a very big number for boys in junior high school and senior high school. I mean, how abnormal is this?
If you ask me, I think it's very abnormal because that's a very high figure. Let's just say that we have 54.1% of individuals. That means that if you take 2 individuals in high school, one of them may be abusing drugs because that's like more than half the number. So if you pick 2 individuals, maybe a junior high school, senior high school, if you pick 2 people, one of them is abusing drugs, which is very, very appalling. I think parents, teachers, guardians, religious bodies, society in general, I think if this is the figures that we have, that means that we're actually failing as a society to actually groom these young men and women into responsible adults. Because 54.1, if you ask me, is very high. It's very, very high. So it means that we will have to take action now before things actually get out of hand.
I want to find out how parents can come in. What do you think parents can do? Because this is a child who is all the way in school. Maybe, JHS, they can go and come, but then SHS, for example, they go to school, they come back, they act like everything is okay.
Yeah. In Africa, our home settings are such that children and parents usually do not have a very strong interpersonal relationship. So you come home, you see your mom or your dad as this old person that you can't really go and talk to. Some of them, when you go and tell them some things, will shout at you. I don't know, Kasa, like some of them will actually make it look like what you're saying is an abomination, which is not supposed to be the case because our parents are actually supposed to be the first people we can run to when we have issues. And so I would say that parents should be more open to listening to their children. Your child may go to school and a friend will tell them, oh, come and try this cigarette, I think it's nice. If your child comes home and they tell you, you're not supposed to shout at them, you're not supposed to beat them up, you're not supposed to yell at them, sit them down and educate them, make them understand that if you take this cigarette, this effect is going to have on you in the future. And let them understand that it is not the right thing to do. So parents should actually learn to be more open to their kids. They should have more supervision in that when your child goes somewhere, know the circle of friends your child is hanging out with, the sort of things that they do when they hang out. Don't just neglect the child and tell them, go and come as and when you like. You actually be very particular about supervising your kids in the house. And then you as a parent should make sure you yourself, you're not exposing the child to the drugs. Because some parents, drink a lot and they make their children feel that is the right thing to do. So as a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure that your children are not exposed in any way to any illegal drugs, or they are not. And even in the house, when the child is sick, you shouldn't be giving them medications in the house when a doctor hasn't prescribed. Because once you start doing that as a parent, you tell the child that, oh, when you are sick, you can just get up yourself and take a drug, and, without a doctor telling you to do so. I think that is what the parents should do now. And then for teachers, when they go to school, they are now in the care of the teachers. The teachers should also try to supervise and make sure that once every kid is coming to school, usually, I remember my SHS, when you are going, they'll let you open your trunk, they'll search and see if you have any, phone or drugs or anything. So I think we should actually pay more attention to that. When students are coming to school, we should make sure that we scrutinize them more, and we are sure they are not carrying anything that's, will be detrimental to their health or their well-being. Yes. And the religious bodies actually have a very important role as well. Everybody goes to either church, a mosque, some people too have other religions. And we actually believe in our religious leaders so much. So I think once in a while, maybe in church, at the mosque, we should try to get a resource person to come educate the youth about drug abuse, the effect that it can have on you as an individual, how it can actually mess up your future and all that. Because people go to church and some people actually, just listen to what their pastors say. So if the pastors are incorporating this into, their church curriculum, then it could actually also play a very important role in reducing the numbers.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Putting myself in a person like that, their shoes. What if they don't have a listening parent? What if they don't have anyone to go to? What does the person do? Someone in that situation.
Usually, you may not have a listening parent, but most of the time, the truth of the matter is you may have somebody who will listen to you. It may not be your parent, it may not be maybe your guardian, but let's say if you pick somebody like your pastor, usually pastors are people who are very open to everybody. You won't go to your pastor to talk to him and then you tell you, I'm not going to listen to you, go away. Or maybe you go to your imam and then, there are people who are very welcoming. So definitely there will be somebody that you can relate to and then that person could actually talk to your parents for you. So if you have an issue like that, you probably have to get somebody like say a religious person like your pastor or your imam that you believe would listen to you. And if this person listens to you, you tell them or you plead with them to talk to your parents. And then I think it could actually work from there. And then you as an individual too would probably have to, take some decisions for yourself. If you have a parent like that, you should always advise yourself. You should know what is right. The truth of the matter is that most of the youth actually know what is right and wrong. Sometimes you just want to experiment. So as the individual, you should make some good decisions for yourself as well, even if your parents are not listening to you.
Okay, so Esther, what will be your final remarks to anyone watching, either a parent, someone who's going through this, and any guardian who's watching us right now?
Okay, so first to parents, I would say that listen to your children, pay more attention to your children, supervise them well, and then if for any reason you think they need help at a point in time, do well to get them the help that they need. And for we the youth as well, I want to say that let us make responsible decisions for ourselves. Our future is in our hands, and whatever decisions we make today is going to have an impact on who we become tomorrow. And so even if you are exposed to some of these things, just make sure that at the end of the day, you are convinced that you are making the right decision.
We'd like to acknowledge our partners, Onyx Field Fashion Line for our beautiful accessories, and Glow with Chanel for our beautiful makeup. We want to thank you so much. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor this program, kindly reach us on our social media pages or contact us via email, and we'll be glad to respond to you.
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram at Iya the Medic, Iya the Medic, EYA_the_medic, Iya the Medic, EYA_the_medic. And also you can follow our mental health page at Mental Health TV on Instagram, Mental Health TV. And also there's a short code for people who may be having any symptoms of mental illness that was designed by one of the doctors in Kolibu, Dr. Achu. It is *844 *555 *844 *555 So if you have any mental health symptoms, just dial the short code and you'll be connected to a community health nurse in your community to help you with your symptoms. Thank you.
Okay, viewers, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our discussion. If you have a comment, you can share it below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page at Baswell GH. Thank you and see you next time. Bye for now.